That is, and it's now going to be up to Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters to decide if Issa will face another trial. We did reach out to the prosecutor. He declined to comment today.
Imagine having flashbacks, sleeplessness, and unwanted thoughts for years. Well, that's the case for some of our veterans battling post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. But as anchor Kristen Hartman learned, research happening right here could ease the mental anguish for many people.
This local study has national implications. It could revolutionize the diagnosis and the treatment of a disorder that makes living harder for about 8% of the regular population, and it's much higher for our military veterans. The tri-state doctor in charge of the research tells me she and her team are working to find where PTSD biomarkers live in your DNA. They're enrolling vets here, including one who opened her home to show me and you what she says living with PTSD looks like. The ticking of a clock is almost deafening when you can't sleep.
It is a real genuine problem.
A problem we'd see only if we spent time overnight with Air Force veteran Lynette Eady. She says her relentless insomnia is evidence of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It is almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm at Lynette's house, and I also brought with me a thermal imaging camera so that we can take a look at what her sleep habits are like. The camera helped us see in the dark. We watched as Lynette got in and out of bed. She made tea to calm herself. She reclined in a chair. Then it was back to bed and back out again.
It's about 20 minutes to 4, and you're still up. I'm still up.
Lynette tells us that sleeplessness is one of the symptoms compelling her to join a study. She wants to help veterans and active duty military experiencing the same things by being a part of research that could radically change the diagnosis and treatment of PTSD.
Currently, PTSD is diagnosed using an interview format.
It's not found in a scan or blood work. But that could change. The VA's Dr. Chard is putting millions of Department of Defense dollars to use right here in the tri-state, testing the idea that PTSD reveals itself precisely for an accurate diagnosis rooted in body indicators. Definitely something more concrete.
Much more concrete.
In their quest, they're taking blood and saliva from more than 700 active duty military and vets, including Lynette, to find those PTSD biomarkers.
A biomarker can be a whole host of things. So it can actually be a chemical compound. So looking for a level of some type of chemical within your system. It could be a protein in your system.
A protein that might spike with the stress of the disorder. And they're studying electrical activity patterns in the brains of veterans who are part of the research.
So we're looking if there are specific brain regions that may say, hey, people with post-traumatic stress disorder have like this area of their brain is a little bit more active than somebody compared to somebody who doesn't have PTSD.
How long does it typically take for you to calm down?
It all depends on how bad I'm triggered.
They're also asking the study subjects to talk about the source of their symptoms. For some, it's combat. For others, it's military sexual trauma.
My heart still hurts.
Lynette shared her story.
What bothers me most is I'm 65 years old, and it's still interfering with my life.
During this phone interview for the study, and again with us at her home, where she surrounds herself with scents that calm her and words that help her. She says she needs those things because the traumatic events from her time in the service continue to cause troubling thoughts, anger, nightmares, and sleeplessness.
I was about 22 years old, so I was a baby, and it really affected me. But I kind of threw it out of my mind because I'm going to be in the Air Force, I'm going to be an officer, and I'm going to make a career out of this.
What she hoped for and what happened were very different. Documents tell the story of an honorable discharge. Lynette says she had to get out. Years later, compensation came for PTSD. It's been about 4 decades and...
I don't want a man touching me. I don't want to be intimate with anyone. And that's bad, because the ultimate feeling in life is love, to love and be loved.
To me, the entire goal of this study is to help more patients get back to a high quality of life much earlier.
Dr. Chard believes pinpointing PTSD biomarkers or establishing what it looks like in brainwaves will open the door to more targeted, effective therapies, and that could help people in uniform.
We literally, for some of these men and women, took away the only job they ever wanted when they developed PTSD. And if we could get them accurately and effectively treated before they've even left the Department of Defense and allowed them to keep that job, to me that's a complete win.
The study should take about 3 years. Dr. Chard says it wouldn't have been possible without our Vietnam veterans. When they came home, they pushed to make PTSD a legitimate diagnosis, and they pushed for treatment, paving the way for today's research. Tanya and Craig.
Pretty incredible study, and it's going to take several years to get all of this data together. But it not only can help veterans, but it can help anyone suffering with PTSD.
And that's the tremendous thing. So thank you to our veterans and for those doctors for doing all of that incredible work.